Mr. Speer, what would you do to make East Haven thrive with respect to business development?
Most economic growth, usually around 70% of it, begins with retaining the businesses that we already have. So I would begin there. As far as attracting new businesses, I would first work on improving the image of the town, and it starts with stopping the barrage of scandals in Town Hall. Next, I would adapt a more modern approach. These days, when businesses are looking for a place to move their business or open up a new one, 85% of the site selection is done, the process is done before we even know that we're in the race. We would provide more accurate information about sites available in our town. I would emphasize what a great community we have here and that we are moving forward and not looking towards the past. My administration would make our resources available to them.
Thank you. Mr. Maturo, would you like
The other thing we have done too, and this is why places like CarMax came in, like Home Depot and Chili's, they came in because of that stable tax base that we have. They came in because they know that they can get a tax break moving into East Haven. That they know that they're not going to have to worry about paying their taxes and going up on their taxes every 2 years, because they've seen the history of us paying our debt and lowering our taxes and giving more service. Like I said, they'll come in with a good police department and a good fire department.
Thank you. Mr. Speer, why do you think that there are over 500 properties for sale currently in East Haven? How would you reverse that trend?
It's very tough, and as a realtor, when I would show a house, a property in East Haven, one of the main questions and problems that people have with signing and wanting to buy is they say, okay, I love this property, it's in a town that's easy on, easy off the highway, but your education system, I'd have to send my child to a public school. I can get a house for a great deal, but then I have to spend more money to put my child in a private school. So we really need to improve our education system, and that's going to be the one domino that's going to help everything else, including economic development and business growth. We must not accept what we are right now. A recent rating out of Niche.com published its rankings saying that we were ranked 99th out of 100. So how are we expected to have people want to come to East Haven, or our college graduates want to come back home to East Haven if there's nothing for them to come home to?
Mr. Maturo,
Would you repeat that question again for me, please?
why do you think that there are over 500 properties for sale currently in East Haven? How would you reverse that trend?
I'm not sure if there's 500 homes for sale in East Haven. Very tough for people to move into any community here in the state of Connecticut. It's statewide, it's New England-wide. People are moving out of this state. Businesses are moving out of this state. But what they are moving into is a community with low property taxes, a community with a great police, fire, public works department, and a community that's working very hard with their education system. Out of the 14 years as mayor, I've probably supported over $17 million in funding, in real dollars, for the education system. The first year I was in office, 4 years ago, we revised the school's district crisis manual after Sandy Hook. We have universal pre-K and wraparound care, which means from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. you can drop off your child. That's a big deal for the young people who are starting out with families moving into our community. We've commissioned early education as the model, and they are the model for the state. We have free medical care at Baldwin School. We have future changes that should be made to provide additional paralegals and language assistance and curriculum improvements in our school. But it is getting better. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Speer, would you like to comment?
Basically just about the universal pre-K that I've been speaking on behalf of for the last year, that our children need more of it. Right now our pre-K allows, I think it's 60 vacancies, 60 spots, and if a child is a little too smart for pre-K, they're not allowed to be in there because they give it to another spot. They give it to another child in our town. With the universal pre-K program that we are talking about, we would like to make pre-K available for all so that every student has the opportunity to compete in our today's 21st economic style.
I was just
Maturo.
talking to Joe Ferriola, who runs that program Friday night at a class reunion. We have a universal pre-K, and we have pre-K in 5 of our 7 grammar schools. And the 2 grammar schools that we don't have, the other 5 grammar schools make up for they're in that same area that they could go to those grammar schools. So we have that already, and it's proven great results in the first year it's been in service there.
Thank you. Mr. Maturo. Blight is a major issue in East Haven. Blight is not only an eyesore, but it devalues our home. As mayor of East Haven, how do you plan to alleviate blight?
You will probably never alleviate all blight. Government rolls very slowly with the government process. And we know that because we have a blight commission, and we have a code enforcement meeting every month in my office, and we take complaints from all residents, we investigate all those complaints, and we vigorously, through the law, through the zoning, through the building official, investigate, and the health department, who's on there, there's about 15 department heads in those meetings, and the police department. We vigorously try to enforce every blight issue we have. One of them, probably the worst one, probably took about 6 years, and that was the Zulo property on Borman Road. If any of you are familiar with that. But that proves how slow justice moves. You can't just go into a house and start finding them. You have to give these people an opportunity, because most of these people who live in these houses do not have the money to take care of that blight immediately. They're on fixed income or low income. So the law allows them a lot of flexibility in taking care of that blight. However, every large blight issue that came across my desk over the last 4 years has been taken care of, including one right now at number 1 Van Horn Drive, where we finally got the bank to reside the house. So we work on the blight issues every day that we're in office.
Thank you. Mr. Speer.
We see blight all over our town. While knocking doors and talking to residents, I've heard increasingly strong concerns about our neighborhoods, that our neighborhoods are falling apart, that they're not what they once used to be. Several years ago, we had an agency that fully enforced our blight laws. We might do something with it now, but we're not doing it to the extent that we must. This administration has let that languish, and the cost has been an increase in all of our unkept homes that hurts our neighbors and decreases the value of our homes. Our administration would make sure that these concerns are addressed, and we would work hard to make sure and create programs for those people who cannot take care of a certain property. If they're eligible, that we will find state aid to be able to take care of that.
We have those programs. As a matter of fact, there are times when I have to send over our public works department to cut grass or board up or take care of a residence when people can't afford to do it. So we work on those issues. I think we do a very diligent job on it, and I want to congratulate, I don't know if they're in the audience today, any of our workers, or if they'll be listening at home, who work very hard in the health department, all our people who work very hard trying to take care of these blight issues in our community. We do a bang-up job on it. We really do.
Thank you. Mr. Speer, would you like to add something or comment?
I just think that we can do better when it comes to our Blight Commission and our Blight Committee. Having somebody actually focus on it all the time, not just sometimes when there's a commission meeting for it.